Welcome to Awakening Consciously for Igniting the New Energy Body Brilliance. And this is for New World Influencers with AliNICOle. Wow, that is me. And also I'm joined by Chief Chakra Consciousness Awakener and also a new human potential igniter, Brenda Jacobson. And I serve as a multi-dimensional chakra decoder-recorder and also a new Ascended Anatomy Authority. And both Brenda and I were really excited to bring forth this special segment. And this is really about leveling up the chakra system for people of great influence. And the reason why this is happening is in order for them to be fully ignited and activated in these new levels of their inner brilliance and greater potential. And ultimately, this is going to allow them to demonstrate their higher purpose in the new world. And so very excited about this because we're going to have a great discussion, Brenda and I. And after we have the discussion, we're going to be featuring an activation of mind. And that activation is called the New Earth Energy Body Template activation. And this is all about the new human interior and exterior chakra experience. And so another exciting thing is that Brenda is going to be sharing about her experience with this activation and also talking about how important it is for influencers to really level up in their well-being in this way and ultimately be born anew in their brilliance so that they can serve in this new world. Something that I want to mention before we start talking about this today is that there's going to be information in the description, and you'll find information about both Brenda and I and the works that we do individually and collectively. There's also going to be resources and websites and also information about upcoming endeavors for you to really explore, because what we're providing is going to assist you in not only awakening and igniting your brilliance, but also really leveling up your energy body as this new world influencer. So yeah, Brenda, I'm excited for us to be bringing this forth. And of course, as always, thank you for being here to consciously awaken and ultimately ignite new world influencers really in this new energy body level up.
Yeah, it's such a profound time to bring this forth.
Yes.
Excuse me. The world is the world, as we've talked about, is ahead of us on this, and it's waiting for us to catch up. And this is such a beautiful acceleration of stepping into a new energy body that we'll get into my experience with this later on, but the acceleration just became so profound through this and opened up dimensions that we don't even know are waiting for us.
Right. And that's, I'm so glad you said that, because when we think about that, that is very consistent in terms of our greater potential and the inner brilliance that lies within us, that we are unaware of this unexplored, these realms or new territories that have not been ventured, right? And so we want to be able to step into that. But in order to be able to do that, there has to be the new activation of the energy body. And I remember as the activation was coming through me in terms of even someone who has no idea what this is all about, that it still benefits them, holistically, because it's going to be required. And so the activation that, we'll play later alludes to that, but also, helps them to understand that this is just a new anatomy shift, and most people can understand just basic anatomy. But before we actually start talking about really the importance of our oneness, because it's all about the connection and unification in terms of with, I should say, a new source connection or new humanity's purpose, this new earth energy body and the greater master plan for the new earth experience. But before we actually start really talking about the importance of this type of awareness, that really is ultimately going to ignite new influencers, new world influencers, would you give kind of just a general brief context about the energy body and the chakra system, from the traditional premise?
Right.
I teach on the the newer, more expanded scale. But I would love for you, because that's been your primary, work, to share that. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So for 20 years, I've been working with the energy body and the chakras, but in the traditional sense, in the traditional 7 chakras. It provides a beautiful foundation for moving people through this acceleration. Most people are starting at this place and need to understand what their energy body is before they can accelerate into the higher dimensions of it. So in the standard format of the energy body, we have seven chakras. The first one, we call it the ladder of 7. So the first rung of the ladder is really the root chakra, and that's the chakra that connects us to the planet. And it really provides that sense of security and safety, that element of belonging, and just really draws that red light, that magnetic energy from the earth up in to feed the rest of the physical body and the energy body. It is where we build a container to hold everything that we attract into our life. And we know that when people don't have a solid container, they can draw the flow of things, of abundance, of relationships, of things into their life, but they don't have the boundaries to hold that. They don't have that container. So that is all created in the root chakra. The second chakra brings in our emotional body, our emotions, that flow of relationships. It's really that where we bring the outside world into our life. The third chakra is one of my favorites. It's about where we really dig into who we are, who we came here to be, that the power dynamics within ourselves, our relationship with power. And it's really where we define ourselves. You can't, in the fourth chakra, at this level, is all about self-love. You can't fall in love with yourself if you don't know who you are. And this is why the chakras kind of play on each other, and they build on each other. So if you define yourself really clearly in the third chakra, understand who you are, who you came here to be. In the fourth chakra, it's really far better, far easier to fall in love with that, because you've tapped into your inner truth in the third chakra. So you have to love yourself before you ever have that love to take out to the world.
That's right.
So the fourth chakra is really the bridge between the lower chakras and the higher chakras. And it is where we kind of balance off the give and take, the give and receive aspects. So giving love and receiving love, and understanding the elements within that chakra for that. In the fifth chakra, we move into the throat chakra, which is really about our communication center. So both what we hear and what we, what we hear and what we say, what we take out, what we bring in. And when I say, it can be through our writing, through just our beingness, through our verbal communication. It's where we discern between what's true and what's not true. What will really damage that chakra is secret lies and just those mixed messages that we get from the world. So it really is, when that chakra becomes healthy, we can discern between those things and bring our true voice out to the world. And again, when you understand from the third chakra who you are, and you've fallen in love with yourself in the fourth chakra, it's so much easier to speak that truth out to the world.
Absolutely.
Even if it doesn't, in many cases, especially with empaths, it doesn't necessarily align with what other people believe. And many of us were, shamed through our life for being different, for seeing the world differently. So we shut our voices down. We didn't bring ourselves out to the world. We didn't, for me, I thought there was something wrong with me. I didn't want people to see that I was broken. And really it was that I was just more evolved than my family, my sisters, but I didn't have the framework to understand that. And then once you kind of find that voice and, anchor all of those chakras, it's so much easier to tap into the spiritual chakras. So the third eye chakra and the crown chakra, where we start seeing. The third eye chakra is about our vision, our higher vision. and seeing what the truth is out in the world, seeing an expanded version of the world. We start bringing in guides, spirit guides, tapping into those spiritual realms. Intuition comes in very much stronger when that third eye is healthy and balanced. It's kind of home to our imagination. So it expands the horizons of possibility when we can start imagining new things outside of the box that we have lived into this point. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the crown chakra is the one that points up into the universe, and it draws in that universal energy, the other dimensions of reality. And that's about it. So that's the ladder.
That's the ladder. Yeah, thank you.
The ladder.
Thank you. And we're definitely going to get into talking about, the importance even of the newer context. And something I just want to run through real quickly is just to name, just to name those chakras. So as Brenda was mentioning, the first chakra is the root chakra. And then the second chakra is the sacral chakra. And then the third is the solar plexus. And then the fourth is the heart chakra. And the fifth is the throat chakra, and the sixth is the brow chakra, known as the third eye. And then, as she was mentioning also, the seventh is the crown chakra. And what will happen is, as we start talking more about just the context of the importance of knowing and understanding this, because it's one of those things that within biology that you learn, and things about the human anatomy, you don't learn about this context of the energy body. And so that's been one of the things that has been neglected, that actually is a chief cornerstone in terms of the evolution of the human experience. And so when that's left out, it is more like having a body, but there's no life in it. And so the life force energy that runs through us has to be addressed. And so when that part is not taught or expounded upon, then what happens is that we live a life less than what we are here to be experiencing. So ultimately, there is no human thriving when there's just the understanding, how do you just survive in this world, just, being human, but not understanding the type of human you're supposed to be. Now, why this is very important as it relates to what we're going to be bringing forth today is because with the lack of understanding of this awareness, there's been the behindness of evolution, and not understanding that actually there's been newer dimensions and context of this, what we're talking about, this premise that's been available to us for quite some time. But when humanity doesn't even have a basic understanding of the foundations of the premises in which Brenda shared about, then there's the time that we have to catch up and accelerate with the evolution. Now, the great news about this is that even someone, as I mentioned, that does not really have the fundamentals, around this, at this juncture, it's not that that's that important in a sense. It's just the understanding that you have to have this energy body, and now understanding that the earth actually has that same premise in a sense, but on a more grander scale, and we're one with this, with this connection. So Brenda, what I would like to kind of focus on at this point, because I had brought up, kind of about this new source connection and really the evolution of humanity's purpose, and why this new earth energy body is going to be relevant for the greater unfolding of a master plan in this new earth's experience. So with you being one who has been commissioned to ignite influencers and really bring out the more illuminate aspects of their grander purpose, why do you feel it's even more important for influencers to have this higher awareness and be ignited in this way? I would love to hear anything you want to share, about that.
The world has changed so much, AliNICOLE. Like it's like a light has come on for people, and they're seeing that there's so much more to this life than they ever knew when they were kept back in that small little box.
Right.
The influencers have to be the trail breakers. They have to be the ones that can see what's there and help turn the light on for other people.
Right.
So help to illuminate it for other people. And this is happening, whether we are aware of it or not. Even people who I consider, asleep right now, or still back in that box, are talking about how fast life is moving,
Right.
how fast the energy is moving, how things are changing, and they don't understand them. And it's scary for them. And then it drives them back into those old contracting emotions of fear and hopelessness and shame. They just they just kind of live there. For these new influencers to come forth and understand the dimensions and the ease and the joy that is out there already living for them to move into.
Right.
They have to understand that in order to really serve humanity, serve the people that they came here for.
Yeah, accurately serve. You're right.
Yeah, to elevate up into this new energy. In this new vibration, life becomes so easy. Like, it's not hard work the way that we have learned that, no pain, no gain. And it's just not true. It's just, and this is what I'm experiencing after, going through so many of these activations with you, AliNICOLE, is that things happen so easily that, my old self, within that old dominion of myself, I could never put context to it. I could never put an understanding to it. The logical side of the brain cannot process at the speed that life is moving. And we have to move out of that. So for those that are ready, that have shown up as influencers, they have to be up to speed with this so that they can accurately influence the people that are coming up behind them, that they can basically, they're the ones that are going to turn the spotlight on this and say, hey, come and see this.
Right.
And
make them aware, of what is.
They have to have that awareness. And it's more than just, when we talk about awareness, so many people go back to the left brain, back to the, yes, I can see that. I know that exists. I understand that. It's not about that. It's about getting out of that part of it and just experiencing it. Like they say that believing is great, but experiencing is where you really know something.
Absolutely.
And if they don't know this through the experience that they've had for themselves, they can't possibly accurately guide other people.
That's right.
Through this.
Right. You're absolutely right. That was well stated. And accuracy is so important. And that's why when you were talking earlier, and I just mentioned, yes, to accurately make people understand and guide them, because we are here to serve, but we do have to be serving in accuracy according to the higher truth. And so the new influencers are being ignited during this time in humanity's evolution to bring exposure to, yes, what this new world is about and what the new influencer's role will be, within this context, and understanding that, having the awareness that we have new fundamentals and a new foundation. And ultimately, when we grasp that, then we'll be more aware of the new formation and functionalities that need to play out. And within the context, even some of the things that are shared within the activation, in terms of even really connecting to our royal divine birthright, that helps us to understand our greater new human potential and what that entails. And so something, before we actually really start talking more about that, in your experience, with the activation, I kind of want to focus, I guess maybe a few core focuses that we can talk about, because, there's the older context, which you've alluded to, in terms of our understanding. And even from a spirituality perspective or an energy connection perspective too, people do understand more of that, as you mentioned, like in the left brain and different things like that. In this context, we want to bring the newness to all of it. It is the evolution. So there's a new source energy that's available, to each and every person. There's also the context of understanding one's unique individuality and being really one now with this new earth. I would just say chakra template, in a sense, the new ladder of 7 energy body, even though it expands, more beyond that. But just from the basic premise is that understanding the new source energy, and then that connects them ultimately to the new earth energy body. And because we are here in this human experience, and humanity is our race, so to speak, and we're living here on this earth, we, as the earth becomes more anew, we have to become anew as well.
Yeah.
And be one and sync up with that. This is what puts us in alignment, Brenda, with connecting to our true source creator template. Because if you think about it, and most influencers know this, especially within the spiritual context, is that we are here to ultimately connect to our true divinity, our divine purpose of being here, of being one with creator, and then demonstrating this in the grander context. But in order for that to happen, we have to be in the new synchronicity of it, and not even coming from the old, template. And there is also something about, and Brenda, I know that you definitely probably can talk about this a little bit in terms of, because you mentioned even like the solar plexus, energy, and that's, being one that you really resonate with in terms of when you actually really know your identity. But
Yeah.
what we know to be true is, in this newer context, that there's a more feminine energy that comes forth. And one of the activations that I've done prior, even around the solar plexus chakra, was about the new feminine energy. And also, I think within this activation that we'll be playing references the feminine energy, because there's a lot of context to different terms that have a feminine context. And also, too, understanding that that's a new order of alignment that brings about more of the softer context of the paradigms, and more of a softer context of how we live out, how we nurture ourselves, how we nurture our purpose, and show up in the world a certain way. And this is an embodiment for even the male energy to embrace and embody, so that they too can move out of these constructs from some of the masculine force that has not been serving. It all still, there's different elements of it. You need both the feminine and the masculine energy.
Absolutely.
But what happens is, now the feminine energy how can I say, it becomes a little bit more dominant in terms of how the leadership and structures are laid out for this new earth experience. And you think about it, it would have to, because there's even the reference of Mother Earth or different things like that. It would have to be in that context. And this is in a newer vibration. So it's not even in the older context of what we've heard about, Mother Earth, or even what's being presented now. This is a completely different trajectory. So
absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
And when you get into the heart, so in the solar plexus is where, in the traditional energy body, is where you really start coming to terms with that yin and yang, the masculine, feminine energy. And in the heart is where you actually marry those.
Absolutely.
So they become almost one. Instead of being two opposing forces, as we've often seen them,
yes,
they become a very powerful, unified source.
Yes,
in this new dimension.
Absolutely. That was well stated. And that's exactly what takes place. And it is a conscious union that happens. And that's what most are having to be awakened to. And so we know that the new world influencers, they are awake for sure. And they are, as your work teaches, being more consciously awake. But what happens in this more accelerated shift is that they become more awakened in a way that now gives them the wisdom and the beingness know-how of how to then start igniting and awakening others consciously, but then igniting them in these newer contexts so that they can be accurately prepared for the life they're here to live, but also how they're going to serve, in the world. And it really is about operating from, I would say, this higher source creator template. And that's going to be, required. So, we can talk a little bit more about that, and then I can have you to share. We can start, having you share about your experience with the activation. And then of course, we can talk a little bit more about that. But before I have you to actually then lead us into that activation that will be featured, before that, I do want to share about publications that both you and I have that are going to be really relevant, for others. And then we can shift into leading them into the experience. So do you want to talk a little bit about what I just mentioned, and then we can start talking about your your experience with the activation?
With the activation, yeah. I went through this, and I do them several times.
Yes.
And so I think I've done this one 3 or 4 different times, and every time a new element of life opens up for me. So for example, I think the first time I went through this was when I started, the physical aspects of it started to awaken within my body. And I started having, like, my heart started behaving in a what would appear to be in our traditional way of thinking, and in an unhealthy way. But I knew, like, there was no fear, there was no pain, it was just acting differently. The funny thing is that it happened just before I was scheduled to go in for some cardiac testing. And even though I was still feeling some of those symptoms, a funny beat, the rapidness, just different things, I thought, oh, I'm going to fail this test coming up. Everything physically came out normal for me. Very healthy, actually. Right. But the timing of it, I had to reschedule that appointment 5 times before I actually made it. And it was because I wasn't ready. I hadn't experienced this new dimension. I hadn't moved into that new dimension yet. Right. Because this appointment was to prove to me that this was not a physical manifestation, that this was an energetic one. It was from moving up into these new dimensions. So that was really profound for me. The other thing, I think, that after the second or third time, my dreams started opening up and becoming really profound, where, I might remember, 2 dreams a year. I know everybody has dreams, but I might only remember 2 or 3 a year, because I only get them when they're very profound for me. And they come through more as snapshots than they do as videos. Like, they're just an image, and I get a message and I go, okay, I know what you're talking about. Since I did this activation, I've had like 3 very vivid, full-length, movie type dreams that have given me such incredible messages about the work that I'm doing, the work that I'm about to do, and moving forward in it. And then the third thing is that on the physical, like in my real life and my business, things are shifting and opening up. As we talked about, I had somebody step up and offer me an out of this world partnership. Right. They want to partner with me to do this. And it resolved every business challenge that I've been going through, from the financial resources to the time resources. It just put all of that to rest. And this is very recent, and I'm still kind of in awe. That's how I would say it. It's not that I don't believe it. I'm just in awe about how quickly this all manifested, because all of this stuff that I'm talking about has happened in the last 2 weeks. Right. The dreams, the heart stuff, the business stuff. And of course, I've been talking to you through that time, AliNICOLE. Yes. And preparing on other levels too in your trajectory. Yeah. Yeah. And this goes back to the influencers and why they have to be trained in this, because if I had been left on my own to go through that, and I mean, I'm elevating up into really high dimensions here. Right. If I'd been left on my own, I probably would have shut it down. I would not understand it, because I had you to guide me through that and to provide context that I did not yet have, was not yet illuminated within me. Right. I could come and go, oh, weirdest thing happened. And you could say, that's not weird. That's normal. That's part of this trajectory. Exactly. Yeah. And then I go, now it makes it normal. So that provides a new plateau for me. And then I'm ready for the next experience, the next elevation. And I don't think that anybody can do this without a guide, without
No,
like a real life guide, not spiritual guide, but a real
right.
life
Absolutely. Oh, I love how you
influencer that
said
can
that.
illuminate, that can light the way for them. Like they just really,
Absolutely. That was a
it's,
very important distinction. Let's stay here for just a moment, because
yeah,
that right there was very profound, so that others understand this is where you actually do need the human spiritual context within the reality within your experience to take you in through this journey. Because if left to, as Brenda just mentioned, just trying to rely on, a spiritual context of whatever framework you want to put it into, a guide, a spiritual mentor, within that context that's not in the physical plane. In this case, you actually do need the human experience to be able to expand that awareness and guide you through that context. And even though those in the human format are being not influenced, but they also too are being filled with the wisdom of higher divine, intelligence, to be able to now demonstrate this. And this is where we come into the picture, just like what Brenda was saying. She's been doing this work for well over 20 years. And now, because understanding where we are in terms of this new earth plane, that the elevation and level up, even for those who have been the top influencers in their field, in industry, so to speak, are now having to accelerate their own awakenings and accelerate their own evolution, if you will, so that they can come into alignment and the oneness with the new earth energy body, and allowing their own energy body to level up so that they can gain this higher awareness and access to what's going to be most relevant in the context. And the thing about it is, even though we're all having this experience, it's very unique to each individual. But when each individual embraces and embodies their unique individuality template, then that plays out in the collective perspective in humanity. We all show up as one heartbeat, as really one body in our individual units. And so I love what she shared, because that was profound. She mentioned how the work we've been doing, together has expanded, her and her authority, and Brenda's top level in her authority as it relates to being one who is consciously awakening others and truly igniting this new potential for this new, as she references often, new brilliant new world. And so you have to be prepared in your new brilliance to be able to step into this, to bring that out into the newer world context. And so this
I just want to, can I add something there, AliNICOLE?
Yes, please do. Go ahead.
There's so many people that I know that consider themselves authorities. They've reached that pinnacle of their evolution, and they see themselves as influencers for those coming up behind them. So many of them are stuck in the old trajectory, though.
They are very
and
much.
They're not willing. These are people who think they know everything.
Right.
Have been like me. I've been doing this for 20 years. I know this. I've worked with people. I've helped them move through. If I allowed myself to get stuck in that ego of I'm the authority, I know it all, I've done it for 20 years, you don't realize that is just step one on the ladder. Like
right.
You might be an authority on step one, but you have no idea what's coming and how beautiful it is, and how you can accelerate through that and become authority at multiple different levels as you go very rapidly.
Yes. And what's relevant,
that's where people need to be now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They need to be that authority who is always, I don't know if maybe you found an end to this. I don't think
there is not. There is
ever,
no.
It's ever evolving.
Expanding. Yes.
Yeah. And so to think that you actually reach a status of authority,
arrival authority,
all,
that's not possible.
No, you've got to be a student. You've got to be a lifelong learner. You're a student while you're teaching. You're teaching one level, you're learning the next. You're teaching that level, you're learning the next. And it's that beautiful status of just being on this journey together.
Right. Oh,
and
that
not
was beautifully stated. Yes.
Yeah. Not, I'm the authority and I can, I'm the all powerful and I can teach you how to become me. It's not that. It's like,
No,
man,
it's an individual, right?
I'm a step ahead and I can, shine the light so you can catch up, and then I'll be the step ahead and you can catch up. And that's what we're looking for in influencers going
You're
forward.
absolutely right. That was so brilliantly and magnificently stated, is that no, there is never this arrival of authority, so to speak. We have authority on certain levels, but we are called to continue to keep elevating and expanding that. And as you said, being really both the student and the leader, and really sharing it from the place in which we have the authority to share from, and no more
at this time.
At this time, because there will always be more relevant required wisdom and insights that will come forth for us to be able to learn and then to be able to share that. But just having the awareness that there is going to always be the continuation of that growth and evolution allows the new world influencer to know that, yes, you have to continue to stay the course. You can never become as the story of the tortoise and the hare. You can never think that I'm so far advanced that I can just sleep on this. And it's not even about someone catching up to you or evolving more from you. It's just that this is not an experience that you can just sleep on. It is the continual awakening, igniting to be ignited, to be more igniting. Everything gives birth to more and more expansion of this greater context of who you are. And that's what puts us on the journey and makes it more adventurous, to live out. We don't actually have to have the pressure of feeling that, oh, I've got to arrive at this particular thing. It's like, no, it's just, these are journeys. But what it is that we're in a newer format of how these journeys unfold. Which they do unfold in a very accelerated and evolutionary way. Go ahead.
The other thing that I want to say is the joy that this brings to life. It becomes really boring to teach the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Right.
You feel like you're stuck. Like, that's how I felt. I felt stuck in a box. And I didn't want to do it anymore. Been there, done that. I can do it. I have the authority. I have the expertise to do it. But eventually it becomes so boring, you don't want to do it. And that's where burnout comes in.
Right.
When you're always refreshing, always learning, always growing, and helping people at a different level, and allowing those that are, that are at the other level to be teaching those behind them.
Absolutely.
And bringing them forward. This is how the whole planet, this is how humanity evolves. Isn't by one person trying to evolve everybody or trying to educate or train or whatever.
Right.
Everybody.
That's what igniting is about, right? That goes back to the igniting.
And leading leaders and leading influencers. There
you go. Right.
Influencing influencers.
That's right.
To bring, it's like you tell two friends and then they tell two friends and then they tell two friends. That's how the millions and millions and millions of people on the planet evolve.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. And that's the more newer context in terms of how influencers have to show up. They need to really be putting their experiences, as you know, in publications and products, and allowing those to serve the ones who need to sync up. And then they've moved on to continue doing the more expanded work around it, because our purposes evolve and they change. And that's why we are not meant to get stuck in any just one context of what we teach. There's multiple dimensions and expressions of those I should say our purposes, and we have to allow ourselves to be in that way. And so when we awaken this new energy body and ground these new fundamentals and allow the ladder of 7 or these wheels of light, within us to spin in these higher contexts, then we can get into the higher understandings that will actually move us into these other, dimensions in a more accelerated way. So we then understand how we're supposed to be living in that moment, how we're supposed to be living, how we're supposed to be loving, and ultimately what that entails for that, that plane or so. But then we quickly move into that, and we have people who actually quickly accelerate too. But again, when you've done the work, you have the work that is there for others to sync up with that. So there's no need even for the new influencer to stay too long in a certain context. And Brenda stated it so magnificently, is that she said, because then you start really getting bored in a sense with something that you've been extremely passionate about. But what it is that the boredom is a call to come to the next plane, come up higher, come into a dimension of this, come expand your passion and your purpose and see the possibilities and potential around this. And as she mentioned, when we start allowing ourselves to be in this state of awareness, what happens is then ultimately it's a ripple effect. It's a domino effect that is the transformation of this Earth's consciousness, is the transformation and evolution of the Earth premise and awareness. And then with individuals doing their work in that way, that's what brings them into this new human experience. But it is through the energy body and the chakra activation and awakening at this level that's going to even put you into this understanding of the way of being. So it's not something you're going to learn just in a traditional textbook or even in the traditional formats, around the chakras. And Brenda can definitely testify that, like that was her case, is that she'd been doing this work for so many years, but she needed to go into this higher understanding. And it was taking someone who's been there and who's still continuously learning, like me. I'm forever learning, and evolving and expanding, and to be able to then be in that wisdom and energy to ignite her own brilliance and awaken her more in the work that she's called here. She was born here for that level. And now she's created so many more expansive opportunities, for others to step into these different levels and planes of their greater potential. And as I mentioned, that there's going to be information even about that, of upcoming endeavors and different things that she has, around that. So Brenda, before we actually segue into the activation, I would love to share a few of our publications. Perfect. And then we can come back and have a brief conversation. Then you can lead others into, to this experience. So we've been talking about this whole context of really awakening, and as Brenda's work is awakening consciously and being able to awaken in this way, but then being ignited and being made highly aware of what it's going to take to be a new influencer in this new world. And so you have to understand the new world, but also too, there are some truths even from the ancient premises that Brenda shares, and that you're going to need to be aware of too. And so she has a publication that's called Awakening Consciously is Ancient Wisdom for the New World. So how do you leverage the ancient wisdom, bring it into this newer world context and framework? And within that work, you learn about the fundamentals and the foundations of the energy body, the chakra system, so that you can ground that ancient wisdom and then have a great foundation to spring forth from, in terms of going up into these newer contexts that, that we introduce in a lot of what we're doing now. She also has an 8-part publication series that is, harnessing your chakra powers. And there's one that really covers the basic overview, of the fundamentals. And then she's got publications that are for each chakra that of the 7 that she was talking about earlier. And so that's a really rich series to really get your roots ready foundationally, to spring forth from, so you can harness that. Then she also has a publication that is about embrace your accelerated awakening, move beyond safety to flow into higher contribution in the new world. So all of this is preparing you as an influencer, as an individual and an influencer, for this new world experience and igniting, because you're already ready for this, for sure. But what it is that because we don't have an arrival, so to speak, this is just now your next level of awareness and awakening. But it also does bring fundamentals to those who have been influencers, who have zero clue about the energy body or this context. This is the perfect set up for both the beginner and the advanced to be able to expand. And then, Brenda, I'm going to give you a moment before I share mine to also, say anything else around that. But I also want to say that the relevant platforms and websites that Brenda has, again, are going to be in the description, because we really want you to learn how to start igniting at these higher levels, for your brilliance to come forth as this new world influencer. So Brenda, before I share my publications, did you want to say anything about yours? Or
what I would add to that is the first book you mentioned, Awakening Consciously,
yes,
is a run through of all of the information you need to know about the chakras. The other one, the series that you talked about, are meditation and journaling experiences. So they really help you. They trigger you to go deep within you and come up with your own answers, and write about them, because that's the power. There's such power in journaling and writing.
Absolutely.
But it helps you to come really into relationship with each of those chakras, so that when you do advance, when you do move into these new dimensions of them, you've got a really strong foundation to launch from.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely. Perfect. Thank you so much.
You are
and
welcome.
So my contributions, for this leveling up experience as well, is that I have a publication that's called Becoming a Consciously Aligned Leader. It's an emerging conscious leaders mini handbook for aligning with their next levels of success. And then I have another publication that's called The Human Butterfly Effect. It's an inspirational journal to discovering how your life purpose impacts the world. And then I have two offerings in terms of the energy body. And one of them that's very important is in terms of the root chakra. And really this focuses kind of on more of the abundance effect. And so this one is called Red Root Chakra Riches. It's the basics of new dimensional root chakra healing for anchoring your financial success and more. And it is a journal prompts planner. And this one is really important because it sets you up at the root level for understanding the new fundamentals of the new dimensions. So it really is a great segue into this newer context coming from, the foundational ones, that Brenda provides. And then I have a publication that's called Me, Myself, and I is IYE, the I. And it is a mini mind mastery journal for emerging visionaries. So this one is all about the third eye, the brow chakra, and allowing visionaries to go on this new adventure, with their third eye. And also too, Brenda's been mentioning about activations that she's gone through, of mine. And I have a playlist that's called Activating the Chakras, a new dimensional chakra activations. And so there's a playlist that I have on YouTube, and I'll make sure that the link to that is below. But all of these publications, the Amazon links will be there, as well. So I just wanted to share these because this is how at this time we are awakening others more consciously and igniting them for this new experience as influencers in this new world. So I thought that these, Brenda, were the best setup publications, for others.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning them all.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
it kind of brings in 20 years of experience from both of us into a really concise format for people to elevate.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Yes, it does. It really does. It gives them all of what they're going to need to really launch into these higher levels of success. And it is igniting to ignite, to ignite, to ignite. It's, one spark of fire and passion then just gives way to another. And that's what happens in awareness and understanding. And something that I teach a lot on is expanded awareness and next level, new levels of comprehension that then ultimately help people learn how to carve out their own lane. in terms of what their unique individual paths will be and how they become the best versions of who they are as a person and as a professional or an influencer. And then that's how they bring their greater contributions to the world. And that's how collectively we evolve and advance, together.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I am thrilled to be influencing influencers.
Yes, exactly. And igniting and bringing that illumination, because that's, what you do in terms of this new, new human potential that you bring forth as this igniter on so many levels, not just the energy body and the greater potential, but also the emotional intelligence and the evolution of that. So there's so much that you do, in terms of that. And again, we'll have information of all the platforms, websites, and different things that you can learn more about Brenda and her expansive works as she continues to bring people into this new or brilliant world, experience and understanding. So Brenda, before we get ready to bring forth the activation and have that as the feature, is there anything else you would like to discuss, or would you like to then just go ahead and start preparing them for this experience and what you believe to be the best way for them to maximize it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to just jump into that. I think that we've kind of talked through everything.
Yeah, we have. Well, if you're going to do that, what I want to do right now is I just want to thank you so much for dispensing your wisdom and your knowledge and sharing all of what you shared and being able to lead people into this experience as being the authority, because you are the authority that you are in terms of what you've been through, to actually be the one at this point that sets them up to go into this newer context and understanding of what they're going to experience with me through that, through that activation. So just thank you.
You're very welcome
for everything.
It's an exciting journey, and I'm grateful to be on it with you.
Oh, thank you. Likewise.
All right, are we ready?
Yes, I turn it over to you. It's all yours, and then you can lead them into setting them up for the activation. Thank you again.
You are welcome, and thank you for everything that you're bringing
to
us all.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
All right, so this it's just best to kind of put everything to rest before we enter into any activation or into any of these meditative type situations, but really being able to move out of the everyday trajectory that we're on. So to do that, I'd just like you all to get comfortable. Take a deep, slow breath. Just allow your eyes to close. And breathe in so deeply that you can feel your belly move, that physically moving in and out. And when you breathe out, make sure that you're completely empty of breath. Deep breaths activate your diaphragm so that your body understands that you're in a safe place. Take another deep, slow breath, noticing how your body expands to receive the air and how effortlessly your body releases the air when you breathe out. Take another deep, slow breath. And again, notice your body expanding even more this time. And then just how effortlessly that air leaves your body. Now, on your next breath in, imagine the air coming in through the top of your head. And all the thoughts in your head are swirling in that air like leaves on a breeze. So that when you breathe out, those thought leaves just settle to the floor of your mind. Not gone, just put to rest for now. And as you breathe in again, imagine the air coming in through the top of your head. And the remaining thought leaves just swirling on that air, so that as you breathe out, they once again just settle to the floor of your mind. Now on the next breath, draw in that warm light coming in through the top of your head and just feeling that openness, that expansiveness that you've created in your mind, illuminating that space for you. As you breathe out, allow that warm light to travel down over your face, down your neck, and then breathe in again, bringing more warm light in. And notice that warm light flowing down your shoulders, down your back, down your arms, over your chest and down through your abdomen. And draw in more light through the top of your head. And on the exhalation, notice it flowing through your torso, down your hips, and down your legs. Feel it going all the way down to your feet and into the earth, grounding you to that energy grid of the planet as it leaves through the soles of your feet. Now draw in that energy from the planet up through those feet. Bring that light, that red light energy back up into the body, flowing up all the way through the body and joining with that warm light energy coming in through your head. And as those meet in that center of your body, in that heart area, when you breathe out, allow them to move out of that, out of your physical body, up through your head, almost like a cork being popped from a champagne bottle, and feel that energy just flowing down around your body, right down through your feet, around your feet, encompassing your whole body in a bubble. This bubble of light. And then just feel it move out from your body, 2 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet. This is an energy field that is there to support you, to sustain you, to hold you as you move through the different dimensions. So settle into that and just allow yourself to relax and move into the activation that AliNICOLE is going to bring forth for us.
Everyone take a nice deep breath, please. So let's just be present. This is an extremely important activation that is ripe and ready to come forth during this time. This is about the new Earth trajectory. And activating the new energy body system of the new Earth grid. So I'm going to take a few moments just to be present with what this activation will entail. It's being in the receptive mode. Let's continue to do some deep breathing, please. And I want you to stay in this deep breathing mode consistently throughout this experience. I will, as guided, continue to invite you to take a nice, even deep breath. So when we think about the energy body, For those of you who may not be familiar with the subtle energy body, which contains the chakra system, the 7 systems, but also multi-level systems as well. The etheric body, the etheric temple, the emotional body, the casual body, the mental body. There's several. Some I'm not even naming at this time. But the main ones to focus on is the etheric body and the etheric temple. And without actually getting into context and background about those different systems, I want you to be in this new energy, a new blank slate around those concepts. So it's actually best if those who aren't even familiar don't even become familiar in a sense with what the traditional frameworks are around us, because this will be your unique individuality template and how that aligns with this new earth trajectory. And how the new earth chakras get activated from within you, because that's where the new earth template, that trajectory resides within you. And as you allow your inner world to be shifted, the outer world is what shifts. When you allow the 7 chakras within your system, your energy body, to take on this new format and new functionality, in turn, we'll see that ripple out in the rest of the world, evolutionizing this planet in a very unique, transformational way. Keep deep breathing, please. So I want you to just be present. And what's coming up at this time is that we are going to enter into a newer trajectory of the chakras, the 7 chakras, the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the brow, which is known as the third eye, and the crown. And we're going to envision those chakras as earth, or earths, I should say. So this new activation happening from within you to transform your outer world, your new earth, your new energy body, your new chakra system. Again, is what's going to transform and evolutionize your experience and ultimately birth this planet anew, which that template has been very active for some time, but now it's more of the conscious awareness about the truth of this higher human experience that we are here to live. Breathe deeply, please. So as this process is underway, what will be taking place on the grander scale is that all of the relevant life codes, expansive trajectories in the external world, from the physical earth plane, so to speak, will be queuing up at a more massive rate to bring about the change in a manifestation where it's being on display, to be very evident that something has shifted and this world will never be the same. Several of you have been doing the work for so many years, and you've played the biggest part in making this activation be an internal, consistent experience that gives birth to more experiences, but from this newer trajectory vibration. Breathe deeply, please. And so now let's be present with the earth chakra systems that are within you. So we're going to be present with the root chakra. And just imagine a ruby red earth, ruby red waters, red rock land. It's as if imagining that the entire world looks like Arizona or Sedona, Arizona. It's all red rock. And some might say, well, that seems more like Mars. You know, there's rich life force energy here. And I want you to focus on those ruby red waters of the earth. Red oceans, red seas parting, ruby falls, waterfalls. Just all these ruby rich reservoirs, red ponds, red lakes, the great red lakes. It's all the streams of that red, that ruby red chakra energy. This is the Crimson Bride template. Most known from the Christian perspective is the Bride of Christ, that being humanity at large. Some liken it to just being the ecclesia, which stands for the called out assembly of God, the church. This is about the body and how we are all connected through the humanitarian blood that was shed forth on the cross through Christ. Now, this is not in a religious context, to put this in a paradigm or a framework. This is the relevant universal truth, a timeless truth, an eternal perspective that is evolutionized during this time for this highest activation. So I want you to imagine yourself in whatever reservoir that comes to mind in terms of the water. That is your new baptism, the new blood in the new body of this higher activation of the Crimson Bride template, the true body of Christ and the true blood that flows in a new blood transfusion, not just through your new anatomy, but throughout this world. Breathe deeply, please. So at this moment, we are called to go deep and yet ascend. So as we are present in the ruby red richness, the red rock earth chakra energy, symbolizing as the root, I want you to feel yourself touching the ground of this new earth within you. And let's be present so that you feel yourself being one with the physicality, but also the higher energetic vantage point here. Feel yourself connected to that reservoir, but also in that ruby red rock energy to anchor your root. I want you to hear those rocks. They have a consciousness that communicates, communicating what your higher life purpose is during this time, and how you are to be rooted and grounded in this new earth trajectory. And what is that template revealing to you about this new birth, this new world, this new you, being connected in your template of the Crimson Bride body, the true body of Christ within you? Breathe deeply, please. So let's be present. Everything is red. Everything is crimson. And every flower that you see blooming in this red rock earth, right now, roses. And then you'll also see some lilies, all in red. It's representing the rose of Sharon and the lily of the valley. Breathe deeply, please. This new foundation and this new formation of your root chakra will reveal to you your new and higher functionalities of your way of being, rooted and anchored in this new earth, this new Christ perspective, the new energy body that serves the whole of humanity, because you are one heartbeat in the grander scheme of humanity. This is what the evolution has brought forth, the evolution of the energy body within you and the physical earth plane. Breathe deeply, please. And feel yourself be one. Now I want you to imagine that those reservoirs, those red, ruby red reservoirs are flowing as red wine. This is a newer dimension of that sacred bloodline, which contains your royal birthright template in this new trajectory. And this will remind you of your true birthright, and yet it will feel so new because it is new. Your birthright template has changed. It's undergone a metamorphosis. And now it's time to experience what this evolutionized earth perspective, evolutionized energy, body perspective is for you, uniquely. Breathe deeply, please. So let's just take a few moments and continue to be present in this awareness. And as you continue to imagine your root chakra being your red earth, ask for the wisdom that is relevant for you during this time. What do you need to be more rooted in, more anchored in awareness, which ultimately then leads to the actions, your way of beingness, your functionality. So calling forth during this time the new creation template to activate this level of the energy body with this new root chakra energy, new earth energy. So these are new fundamentals that have come forth. And now it's time for you to, in your individuality, to be present with the highest spiritual formation and divine nature of your information. So let's be present with what the new foundation is, uniquely for you, based on this new root chakra, vibration and energy. What is your new earth template? Your new roots that will produce new fruits? What is it that needs to be most solid about this higher truth for you at this phase? Breathe deeply, please. So what are you anchoring in awareness? What are you grounding? How are you being newly rooted in Christ from a humanitarian perspective? Being one with everything. Transformed by the renewing of your mind. Being present with the consciousness of life. Allowing those red rocks to communicate. They've been crying out for quite some time, but now you're aware and you can tune into that which is you, which is just a reflection from the communications coming from the rocks and the water, a mirror of who you are, who you have become, and now being able to, yes, remember that you were created in the image and likeness of God, remembering that you came here as one of the royal priesthood. But now this is your new experience. Renewed royalty, or royalty in me. Breathe deeply, please. In that knowing and awareness. Now, with this new foundation revealed to you, there's a new formality. A new formality. And allow that new formality to present itself to you. And during this time, some of you could possibly see a new spectrum of the color red. And again, a new formation. That new formation may come up in your awareness as a rose. Or something very meaningful to you. And that will be what you need to focus on for the next few moments. It's going to be unique to everyone. What is forming? What is newly forming? Or what is your new form? A new life purpose may be revealed to you during this time. But this new form is going to inform you on your new way of beingness, which moves into the new functionality. So let's go ahead and significantly shift into receiving that awareness around the new functionality and just be present. And on this awareness, and even if nothing came up, it's just the experience within itself that we are going to activate in the higher awareness of being truly rooted in this new template, being anchored. So something that's actually coming up during this time is the image of a lamb. And so I actually want you to be focused and seeing everything red, seeing this red lamb. Because that's actually the vibration of this newer functionality. And some of you may have had something come up in terms of what that way of beingness would be. But now it's time to actually incorporate this with this higher truth trajectory of the Lamb of God. Breathe deeply, please. And allow those qualities of this new Lamb of God template to reveal itself to you. And seeing through the eyes of the Lamb, and imagine that on this ruby red rock earth and these ruby falls, ruby fields of roses and lilies, ruby meadows, and imagine seeing all of these beautiful ruby red lambs all walking around, living their lives. It's very symbolic of the new Christ template energy being activated in all of humanity. And then now with that awareness, I want you to imagine a bride. And even if it's just imagining the dress, seeing that in crimson color, and imagining that that is the whole world within that gown. Breathe deeply, please. And so now we take this new foundation, formation, and functionality, operating as the Lamb and the bride, the crimson Lamb and the crimson bride, in that nature. This is the higher wisdom template that comes forth, that's anchored in this new awareness, this new knowledge of your higher truth. And though it may seem as it's coming in the feminine order, if you are familiar with the Bible, a lot of feminine references are made as it relates to wisdom, as it relates to the bride of Christ. And even when we hear from other perspectives, even Earth, Mother Earth, it's feminine energy. Why is that? It's been feminine energy from really the Genesis, yet with masculine structures that have been in place. And some of those have been crumbling, but not crumbling to be completely dismissed. It is the unification. It is the marriage, the oneness of the feminine energy and the masculine energy that make up this new energy body template, all one in the body of Christ and the bride. Breathe deeply, please. And so now this is your new root chakra energy for your new Earth's template and trajectory with the core fundamentals that pertain to humanity's evolutionary and eternal experience, but yet with your unique individual template that will continue to be evolutionized as you evolve. The information will become clear to you about your new human experience and your new Earth trajectory. And being one in this new energy body and rooted in this truth, the higher truth of you. Breathe deeply, please. And so now we move into the sacral chakra energy. And let's be present here as you imagine different shades of an orange earth. It's this higher level creativity energy. You are one with the creator. This is your creative template to create a source and sourcing your world anew. This is a very accelerated awareness of how to now build upon the new foundation and to take your new formation and your new functionality and play it out in the highest level of truly being created in the image and likeness of God. You are a creator. The highest level of co-creative energy. This is the merger energy. More of that bride energy. This is the intimacy chamber or portal, if you will, of being with the creator of worlds and you participating and now creating your world anew, your new earth. So be present in your new source energy, but also individuality as a creator. This is a sacred space because it's intimacy. You in source, you in this higher Christ perspective, in an intimate setting, creating, divine mating. Breathe deeply, please. So let's just be with this awareness. And at this time, what color is emerging is blood orange, actually. So that is more of the integration of the crimson energy merged with this sacral chakra, the sacral creator, the bride and the creator. How do you create as Christ? Not from the religious perspective or the old template, but the new energy. Empress and Emperor energy. Majesty energy. Where in the old template it was king and bride, or king and queen energy. And in this newer earth trajectory, it's higher ranking, higher totality of beingness in that most high vibration. And feel this as your new world, your new divine order, new way of being and expression. And according to your unique template, new fundamentals, new foundations, new formations, and new functionalities will present themselves to you in this higher creative expression. You are a blank canvas at this time, divinely mating. In the oneness. Breathe deeply, please. And continue to focus in on that ruby red orange color. And see that sacral chakra earth be transformed into that color. Breathe deeply, please. So what are you in source creating? What are you building upon? This new creative story template. Just be present with that, please. Breathe deeply. And feel the newness of your creative power, the oneness. Now we're accelerating into your new solar plexus world. And envisioning a golden sun. And almost as if the sun and the earth are one. So however you can best imagine that, or just have that in your awareness. And it's a golden color, but it has that red orange or blood orange energy with it. So however you can imagine that, if you think about the sun has so many colors within it. But we see the rays that come out, and some of those rays are orange and red. We mostly associate the sun with yellow, but if you were to actually get close, you could really see, you would see the red and the orange within the yellow. You'd see the golden textures. Breathe deeply. This solar plexus energy representing the sun is in a feminine format, but yet very anchored in this new vibration of the Son of God. Son of God representing mankind. As we think of woman, and man still being within that term, because it's what was the original origin of creation. But now it's the oneness. There's not the separateness. There's not the estrangement. There's the union. Breathe deeply. And the term, there's nothing new under the sun. But everything is anew when our minds are transformed and renewed in this awareness of truth. Truth that has always been, but new to our human experience because of now syncing up with this new earth trajectory, this new energy body, and having it activated as part of your new anatomy. Breathe deeply, please. So be present with that solar plexus sun that's one with your earth, illuminating, bringing everything to light. And in this higher functionality, you are the light of the world, the new light of the world, and the new salt of the world. Bringing this new flavor to the earth. First flavoring your earth. And then being that example and that demonstration, that higher representation of this new now truth energy. Allowing this to be the core, to be the center of your new human experience. Illuminating higher light body, higher awareness, the evolution of enlightenment in a new template format. Breathe deeply, please. Now, as you sense and see and feel, the sun and the earth is one. And this being your solar plexus energy, how are you being with this? What's coming to mind? What is your initial feeling around this? So let's just be in the space with this. This needs to activate in dimensions. So there's multi levels to this. And as I mentioned earlier about being present with the etheric temple, the etheric body, and not even having to have any knowledge or so really around the traditional premises for that. Before we ascend, this is where we're going to immerse a little deeper and bring together the energy of the new earth root chakra, the new earth sacral chakra, and this new earth solar plexus chakra energy. And we're going to be present with the wisdom and the higher illuminated insights from the etheric temple and the etheric body, and just be present because it's going to give you a sense or some communication, some wisdom, some insight that is unique for you. So this will not be me guiding you in terms of something that comes up for me to say focus on. This is you just being in the space and just breathe. Just keep breathing deeply. Mm. So now we activate this in the dimensions of your beingness. As this is the launching pad of a new life. As we shift into your higher humanitarian calling and the call to life. The call to life itself, because you are one with life. You become the way, the truth, and the life. And this is what will flow from the depth of who you are. So we want to immerse into the heart chakra of your world. This is your new earth chakra template in the heart humanitarian format, revealing to you your higher purpose of being in this human experience. So normally the heart chakra comes under the color of green. And you can see and imagine a luscious green earth. And then something shifting to this heart energy being pink. And you may see the green and the pink operating side by side, or kind of a swirl. Breathe deeply, please. And at this time, I want you to imagine in two different formats the actual heart organ being in an earth format, And then the symbolic representation of a heart being in the earth format, seeing the printings, the template of the earth in those shapes. And then imagining them in the green and the pink. You'll see different areas where it's pink, different areas where it's green. You think about the earth, where we see land and we see water, and when we look at the representation on a globe, the water is blue and the land is typically brown or it's certain colors. See that template in these formats, in the green and in the pink. You can imagine that the pink is the water. It goes back to that ruby red energy, the ruby red reservoir energy. You can see the water is pink and the landscape is being green. Breathe deeply, please. So you are one in this heartbeat of humanity. You are. There is just one heartbeat. And you can feel your connection to all that is, every living thing. And every living thing that will come forth. Breathe deeply in that awareness, please. And now your understanding of being one heartbeat with humanity, being the major organ that pumps this new blood of the higher Christ perspective through the body of the earth, your earth, and then the physical earth. This is your chakra, your heart chakra in this format. So tune into your own heartbeat and then hear the heartbeating communication of humanity. You will find what your purpose is during this time. And even if it's something subtle as to be at peace, to just be. Or it could show up in the form of some type of calling, divine calling, or an occupation, or a way of being within your everyday life. It could show up as play. Breathe deeply, please. And just be in that new earth, chakra, heart, space, energy. And allow your humanity to communicate. Your humanity. Your reason for coming into this human experience and still being here during this time in humanity's evolution and the evolutionizing of the earth. Breathe deeply, please. And feel all of it come together at this moment. Your rich roots, your sacred creative expression, and your new light. Being one with the sun. And now, knowing your true purpose for this human experience, the heart and soul of who you are. Operating in this higher divine expression. your highest level of truth and being one and connected. One and the same with the creative principle and higher intelligence. Breathe deeply, please. And now this is where we start to come from immersion into accelerated ascension. So before we move forward and ascend into the throat chakra, the new earth throat chakra, be present with any final wisdom and insight for this phase of what your heart, your humanitarian expression wants to communicate. Anything else to be revealed that can be supportive as you move into will be a new water world in the sense of source communication flow within your throat chakra, the new earth vibration. So just be present with the heart. And feel the pulsating of all of humanity. And then allow that pulsating to shift you into this new earth throat chakra trajectory. Allow it to pulsate and flow you in to the next level of this experience. Breathe deeply, please. So just be present in the color of aqua. And feel yourself be as water. Imagine an earth that's just water, a water world. And as you see, the earth is just water. Tune into that. Your new earth throat chakra, tune into that flow. And just be present. What are you hearing and not hearing? It's all relevant. Just continue to focus on that earth, just water. And some of you might actually start to feel a little sway. I feel yourself flowing, like rippling inside. Now I want you to imagine with seeing this water world, imagine that red rock earth. From the root, imagine seeing that. With the red rocks, but yet the beautiful aqua waters. Just be present with that. And then just imagine also this blood orange sort of energy and vibration, almost like a mist in a sense. that is over this imagery. Breathe deeply, please. And imagine seeing that mist settle on those rocks, or the red earth formations in the land, sense but still seeing the water in that aqua color. And now, imagine that golden sun with those ruby red rays that flow from it, and those blood orange rays that flow from it. That culmination of those colors within the sun, the new sun, the solar plexus energy. And imagine that being that chakra that is outside of the physicality of the earth plane, so to speak, and it is shining, it is illuminating all of those colors. This new world, this new earth, this new trajectory. And now I want you to imagine the greenery from the heart energy. Imagine this in that new earth energy, where we have imagining the red rocks as the formation of the earth in terms of the land, and the red reservoirs, the blood orange mist that is upon the rocks or the formations, and then seeing the sun, solar plexus illuminate that, and now this is queuing up for a grand finale, in a sense, right in just this energy body space. Now, bringing in that greenery in the land from that heart energy, and almost like pink, sort of dandelions in a sense, that are springing up, springing up through that green, luscious green grass, greenery in the red rocks, greenery in the desert, so to speak. No cactuses here. So just be present in that, because there's a unique communication for you in terms of what your higher source connection expression will be, how you are communication in motion, communication in beingness, and this is all the higher source expression, source communication. What is broadcasting through this new earth trajectory? Like the sounds of heaven. That's what's resounding through this experience. Breathe deeply, please. And so now with this awareness that's queuing up for a higher ascendant activation, we now move into the brow chakra, the new earth, third eye. And before moving into a format and a functionality for this, we're going to be present because just being in the space of entering into what would seem like a first dimension of this new earth third eye expression, what's happening is that it is awakening and opening up in a reverse domino effect, opening up the throat chakra of humanity, throat chakra of this earth. Opening up the solar plexus energy of this new earth. And opening up even more the sacral new earth chakra energy and the new earth root chakra energy. Dimensionalizing itself, rippling out, to activate the physical plane, and giving more context to the etheric temple of the earth and the etheric body of the earth. Awakening and illuminating even more. The new earth chakra energy. And purely opening up the portals, purely. And when I say purely, this is a new template. Not shifting you into any dimensions that are not of the highest truth. This is a new earth, a new energy body. And now with opening up those chakras at this level and dimensionalizing itself, we can now move forward into the new earth, third eye. This is a combination of the brow and the crown. And we'll be moving into the crown energy, but there's a dimension of the crown that is within the brow. And some of you actually may get an image of even the thorny crown that basically was piercing Christ, but it's from a different vibration. The imagery may come just to make you aware that the evolution of that is here. And in a crown, as we would imagine a king's crown, but it's even more expansive than that. But it's presenting itself in the third eye chamber for a reason, because there's unification that's taking place and needs you to be aware and to see in your knowingness. This is the higher divine intuitive body activation coming forth in this third eye, this brow. This is giving you a grander visioning and context and knowingness of the higher humanitarian calling and the true divine nature and orientation of this new earth trajectory experience. Breathe deeply, please. So what do you see and know as it relates to this new earth? What is the energy body of this new earth communicating to you during this time. Breathe deeply, please. And at this moment, some of you may actually begin to sense or hear almost like being present with a system, being present with an anatomy of an individual, hearing the heartbeat, hearing or sensing the blood flowing. Being present with the water anatomy of the human physiology, so to speak. They say the body is made up of at least 80% or so of water, depending on which scientific textbook or so you come from. But in this new template, it's all water. Breathe deeply. And it just comes into forms. It crystallizes and calcifies in a very different way. The matter and solids are of a new creation. So the anatomy and the major organs, they take on a different format in terms of how we interpret them and how we are being with them. And that's the illumination, that's the intuitive body making you aware, allowing you to sense the physicality, the new energy, the new life force energy flowing through, new rivers of the water of life, new vibrations, new everything, because you are new. And that's the knowingness of this new royal birthright. And before you can be crowned in the higher awareness, you have to anchor this in your knowingness, in that intuitive body, in this new earth, third eye, crown chakra energy. And now, with this awareness, I want you to imagine a new indigo earth with violet rays in an eye format. See your third eye as the world. And what could potentially happen for some of you is that you begin to see multiple colors and not just the indigo with the violet rays. A new color, a new dimension of sight, because you have descended, if you will, or immersed, I should say, in the depths of new awareness, new depths, and now new heights of ascension. Being aware of the higher truth and feeling your earth chakras change within you, alivening your new anatomy, and that manifesting in the physical body, the physicality of the new earth plane. To be present with that. Just be present with that, because this is where the new juncture of adventure begins. This is where the new life begins, illuminated for you to see and to know. How do you move forward now with all that has been awakened within you? Breathe deeply. Feel yourself be as new lungs, new heart, new brain, new major organs. The functionality of you in this new awakening of the energy body, the new earth energy body within you, and that divine intuitive knowing and shifting that now ascends you into your new royalty format as we enter into the crown chakra energy, the new earth crown chakra energy, and be present. Because this is your new world, and it will present to you the format in which you need to see it in. And how do you imagine a royal world? Do you see every human with crowns? What does that new earth look like? So let's be present with that. Because there are many crowns, and there's a reason why, even in the hymnal or the hymn, crown him with many crowns. Many crowns are many dimensions of beingness and expression. And this is why, in this new trajectory and understanding, there can never be a one-dimensional Christ perspective. Because there are many dimensions of how this oneness plays out in the dimensions of humanity, the human experience, the many crowns, unique divine display of each individual expressing and living the very divine nature and reason of why the human experience is even a thing. Breathe deeply, please. So as you imagine your crown chakra as a royal earth, be present with that higher spiritual context of your new divine nature and why this higher level and activation of a new earth energy body had to take place in order for you to not reawaken, but awaken anew and become aware of your truth, your oneness. The truth of this divine human experience. Breathe deeply, please. Do you feel your oneness with the new earth, not the old? The new earth that is you, the new template. And then you get to uniquely, divinely express this in your divine human experience, because that's what it is. It's not just the human experience, It's not just the spiritual experience, the spiritual human experience. It's the divine beingness, the royal beingness, the majesty beingness. Breathe deeply, please. As the song of the hymn says, O Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth, in all the many dimensions of earth. O Lord, how majestic is your name in all of the new earth, template, and trajectory. This is where the epitome of hallelujah is the highest praise. We awaken to this truth that we activate, bringing all of this into the higher awareness, going throughout the earth, the higher source perspective, the most high new earth perspective, anew, activating earth chakras anew and rippling this awareness and awakening this level of the earth, new earth energy body to activate and purify in the newer context, awakening the new chakra templates of all the chakras, all dimensions of the chakras, the dimensions within the physical aspect in the body, but also the earth chakras, which are numerous, too numerous to name, far beyond what anyone has come up with an understanding of how many there are. The point is that they all are one and connected. And each individual will have their unique experience with those chakras, with this new energy body weight of beingness, the oneness. Oh Lord, how majestic is your name in all of the new earth. Breathe deeply, please. Now with this awakening of the new anatomy template and new energy body of the physicality of the divine human experience and the physical plane of the new earth. The third eye, the new earth third eye is open. The new crown chakra energy is activated. And the newness of the depths of Jacob's ladder, Jacob's well, and the ascension of Jacob's ladder in this new earth trajectory. This brings forth even the Queen Esther energy in this new earth template, in the Empress Esther format. And this is what awakens. If you want to call it the Mother Earth energy, this is the new order. So this suspends you from any of the other paradigms. This is new. This is not about Gaia. This is not about any of the old. This is about the truth. And being in that ascendant truth, feel the activation, feel the oneness, feel the collective unification in the marriage. The one and the sameness in divine nature of feminine and masculine. the true nature of the bride and groom, awakening in this new energy body as one. Breathe deeply, please. And all of New Earth's chakras are activated at the highest level of truth, and may that be what illuminates continuously through eternity for each and every soul to be connected to the truth of their existence and thriving in this incarnation. Breathe deeply, please. And it is from here that you live, move, and have your beingness in the way, the truth, and the life of this new divine human experience of source sufficiency, your signature source display and representation of a new earth human. Breathe deeply. And feel this activation all throughout you. You are anew, and your world, your earth is anew, and the earths that spin within you. This new embodiment, you are both the water, the sun, and the earth. You are the elements. You are the water. You are the desert. You are the red rocks. You are all of it. And all of it works harmonious in you and through you, and brings harmony and the new heartbeat to this world. You are new, and in your new creation format, you will exude the newness of source, the most high expression. Take a deep breath and hold, and release. You are anew, and your world, your earth is anew. And your new earth template, your new earth energy body, your new earth chakras are activated. And from here, you live your new life. Breathe deeply. And now take another nice deep, 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 deep breath. A depth breath. New depths, new breath. New life. And we are complete. Thank you.